Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching The Color Purple, starring Taraji P. Henson, Coleman Domingo, Fantasia Barrino, and Halle Bailey, and directed by Blitz Buzawale, or Blitz the Ambassador. Now, the original The Color Purple was a novel made by Alice Walker that was adapted into a feature film in 1985 by one of my personal favorite directors, Steven Spielberg. While the film has a big cultural legacy, it also was ultimately turned into a Broadway musical in the 2000s. And that's what this film is an adaptation of, both a remake of Steven Spielberg's classic, but also an adaptation of the musical. Therefore, it adds a bunch of songs to the proceedings. And those songs definitely do what a good musical should do. They tell you about the characters, they move the story along, and they add some much needed cheerful and upbeat moments to mix in with all of the depressing dark moments that the show still manages to keep in. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story focuses on a woman named Sally, played by Fantasia Barrino, who is separated from her sister Nettie, played by Halle Bailey, when she gets married to the abusive and domineering Mister, aka Albert, played by Coleman Domingo. But when Sally finds a way to free herself from her abusive husband, she also happens to meet Shug Avery, played by Taraji P. Henson, who shows her all around town, who shows her a way to love herself when she's been beaten down by life for the majority of it through her father as well as through her abusive husband. And she finds a way to not only gain freedom for herself, but also to live in a world that seems to punish her at every turn. But that's all I'll say about the story. While I do think the 1985 film is darker and I think a bit more effective when it came to the dramatic moments, this one definitely manages to make its songs stand out, as almost every single performer here does a great job with the musical numbers, especially Halle Bailey, which, given that she was the highlight of the Little Mermaid remake, that's not a surprise, and also Danielle Brooks, who plays Sophia. All, their songs are absolute showstoppers in every sense of the word, and the choreography as well as the lyrics really highlight not only the themes of the story, but also just the all around atmosphere that they're going for, especially since it takes place in the early 1900s. So the swinging gospel songs actually feel like they fit the time period. Personally, I think Danny Glover's a bit more scary and a bit more, effective as Mr. But Colin Domingo does a pretty good job, even if he's made a little more sympathetic in this version. He's still an abusive monster, but he at least has some lingering regrets that are more overtly shown as opposed to just kind of implied in the original film. On top of that, I appreciate that the film happens to delve more into the African side of things from Nettie's perspective. Especially considering that the director is Ghanaian himself, I kind of figured that he would delve into that a bit more than Spielberg did. And it's actually pretty interesting that Whoopi Goldberg makes a cameo in the movie since she was Sally in the first film. She's a midwife here, but it's a nice little reference to the original film from where I'm looking at it. And of course, we have to talk about Fantasia as Sally, the lead character, and she definitely manages to not only sell the character as much as she probably did in the Broadway version, but she happens to basically hit all the high emotional beats that she needs to, which is necessary when she's a character who gets absolutely screwed over at every opportunity until near the end. And I definitely buy her lack of self confidence. I buy her eventual realization that she's better than she thought she was. And I definitely buy all of her song sequences. So while I don't think it's as effective as the original in some aspects, it exceeds it in others. That's why I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. See you next time.